If you've ever stayed in a hotel that made you uneasy, wait until you hear this story. It's one you won't forget. Make sure to stick around, and if you enjoy creepy tales like this, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more chilling stories. You won't want to miss what's coming next. I'm staying at a hotel that has some really odd rules. When I checked in, the person at the front desk handed me a sheet of paper. I've always disliked hotels. They have dirty carpets, beds, and bathrooms. A nightmare for someone who hates germs. Whenever you're in a hotel, think about it. You don't know who was there before you, what they were doing on the furniture or the floor. If you brought a black light, you might even find out. But let me get back on track. Despite my dislike for hotels, I often find myself staying in them, either because of a family trip with my parents and brothers, or because I'm sent to some exciting work conference far away. It seems like I end up in a new hotel every 3 months. I first learned about the Gateway Hotel when my boss emailed me one Thursday, basically ordering me to attend a conference in Oregon to talk about merging with a smaller company. I sighed deeply, resigned to the fact that I'd have to travel again to make the boss happy. At least the pay was decent. The next night, just after midnight, I pushed open the squeaky door to room 415, where I'd be staying. I turned on the light, and at first glance, it looked like any typical hotel room. I put my luggage on the counter in the small kitchen area and sat on the bed to use my phone until I felt sleepy. Looking up, I noticed a painting on the wall across from the bed. It showed a blonde woman in a striking red dress. On closer inspection, though she was beautiful, there was something off about her. Her hands were awkwardly hidden behind her back, and her stance was threatening, almost as if she might jump out of the painting. Her face held a twisted, angry expression, yet she was smiling. Her unnaturally white teeth gleamed, and her eyes seemed to follow me as I approached the painting. It made me feel uncomfortable. Why would the hotel choose to hang such a disturbing piece? Shaking my head, I removed the painting from the wall, turned it to face the wall, and leaned it there. I definitely didn't want it watching me while I slept. When I sat back down on the bed, I noticed a crinkling sound beneath me. Standing up, I found a light blue paper titled, "Welcome to the Gateway Hotel." It read, "Welcome to the Gateway Hotel. We hope you enjoy your stay. To ensure both fun and safety, the hotel staff has established some rules. Firstly, please do not damage the hotel room or rearrange the furniture. This complicates cleanup for our dedicated cleaning staff, and you will be charged extra for any damages. Secondly, please refrain from engaging in intercourse, as cleanup is burdensome, and there is another hotel for such activities just a few blocks away. Thirdly, do not leave the television on overnight to help us save on electricity bills. Fourthly, please ensure all food is covered and stored properly in the refrigerator or cabinets to avoid attracting pests. Lastly, do not leave your room between 1 a.m. and 4 a.m. as our cleaning staff will be busy in the halls, although they will keep noise to a minimum. Rule 6 states that if your room's phone rings at exactly 4:14 a.m., you should not answer it. Rule 7 advises against bringing sand from the beach into your rooms as it is difficult to clean from the carpets and upsets the staff. Rule 8 requires keeping your blinds closed at night due to reports of people peering into rooms. Rule 9 warns that between 3 a.m. and 4 a.m., you might hear a child's voice pleading for help in the hallway. It's crucial that you resist the urge to look through the peephole or leave your room, as there is no one actually needing help at that time. Rule 10 states, if you see a maid with long blonde hair and a red uniform staring at you in the hallway, you should avoid eye contact, return to your room, and alert the staff immediately, as our staff uniforms are light blue and speaking to her is not advised. Rule 11 instructs that if the maid in red blocks your path, you should head back to the lobby using the stairs instead of the elevator, as she will not follow unless you make prolonged eye contact, which she perceives as an invitation. Rule 12 notes that if you find yourself in the elevator and see a button marked B2, do not press it since our hotel does not have a second basement level. Rule 13 details that if you accidentally press B2, you should avoid making eye contact or speaking with anyone who might enter the elevator from that floor. Stand near the elevator buttons to block others from pressing them, keep your head down, and press the button marked L to return to the lobby. Once there, inform the front desk about the incident without making eye contact or speaking to any other passengers who may have boarded at B2. Rule 14 firmly states not to enter room 414 if you find its door open. Even if you hear someone inside calling your name, do not approach the door or attempt to close it. Immediately contact the staff if you notice anything amiss. Room 414 is off limits and should remain locked at all times. Thank you for choosing the Gateway Hotel. We hope you enjoy your stay and remember to adhere to the rules. Sincerely, the staff at the Gateway Hotel. What in the world is this? This must be some ridiculous prank by a staff member who thinks it's funny to scare guests. I'm seriously considering calling the front desk to complain about this foolish joke. I glanced at the cheap digital clock on the nightstand. It's almost 12:30 a.m., and I'm really not uptight enough to trouble the front desk over something so minor. I might bring it up when I check out for my meeting tomorrow. I groaned when I realized I needed to wake up at 4 a.m. to prepare. Thankfully, I had managed to catch some sleep on the flight here. I tried to get comfortable in bed, under the coarse beige comforter, but my mind kept going back to the unsettling blue paper I had crumpled and aimed for the trash can. I hate to admit it, but the details on that paper made it hard to feel at ease. I closed my eyes, only to open them immediately when I remembered I had already broken the first rule by removing the eerie painting from the wall. Reluctantly, I looked towards the wall across from the bed. Even in the dim light of the room, it was clear that the painting was back up. A chill ran down my spine as I saw that the woman in the painting seemed even closer than before, her expression even more contorted. I quickly lay back down and closed my eyes, deciding not to tamper with the painting again. I'm probably just being overly paranoid. Even though the rules might be a joke, they did unsettle me a bit. The painting being back on the wall was likely just my imagination playing tricks on me due to lack of sleep. Still, I'm too frightened to double-check. I plan to update later after I speak with the front desk tomorrow morning. Edit. It's 1:12 a.m., and I can't sleep. I think I just heard something tapping on the window of my room. I'm on the 4th floor. It's hard to fully grasp what happened last night in that eerie hotel, but I'll try to recount the events in the order they occurred. I was hesitant to write everything down and relive the experience, but I feel I must share my story. Even if it prevents just one person from staying at the Gateway Hotel, it will ease my conscience. I edited my last update about an hour after posting it while lying frozen in bed under the flimsy hotel comforter at 1:12 a.m. I had heard a tapping at my window. I didn't want to check it out, but needed to prove to myself it was just a tree or something mundane. I got out of bed and tiptoed to the curtained window in the dark. I deliberately avoided looking at the painting on the wall. I didn't want to see the woman again. Yet, I could feel her gaze following me as I crossed the room toward the window. The almost rhythmic tapping continued as my fingers gripped the edge of the curtains, pulling them back swiftly, not allowing myself a moment to hesitate. I wish now that I had hesitated. To my horror, I saw the grotesque face of a man staring back at me. His face appeared as if it was decaying, and he, grinned at me, revealing yellowed and brown-stained teeth. Its sunken eyes locked with mine as I stared back at the ghastly figure clinging to my window, tapping on it with a disgustingly long fingernail attached to a gnarled and wrinkled hand. I had really hoped it would just be a tree tapping on my window, not some grotesque figure resembling a zombie who had somehow climbed to the 4th floor. I hate to admit it, but I screamed and toppled backward onto the floor. Who wouldn't? There was no balcony outside, and no place for anyone to stand to reach my window unless they were some sort of Spider-Man. I hurriedly grabbed the phone and dialed the front desk, the number written on a piece of masking tape stuck to the phone. Hello, this is the Gateway Hotel's front desk. How may I help you? Hello, there's a man outside my window tapping on the glass. I'm on the 4th floor. How is that possible? Please refer to the list of rules provided to you. If you read Rule 8, you'll see that you should have kept your windows covered. Yeah, but I'm on the 4th floor. Being on the 4th floor has never stopped them from peeking in. Please ignore any tapping you hear from now on. Now that you've noticed them, they will continue to tap all night. Remember to follow the rest of the rules carefully. Have a good night, ma'am. The phone line went dead. I slammed the phone back down, cursing under my breath. I walked over to where I had thrown the rules on the floor, picked them up, and smoothed out the paper, reading it again and again. I sat with my head in my hands in what had seemed like an ordinary room just an hour ago. Eventually, I placed the rules on my nightstand and lay back down on the bed. I glanced at the digital clock. It was 1:46 a.m. I jumped and hid under the covers as the tapping on the window began again. Trying to sleep was useless. The constant tapping and my escalating fear kept me awake for hours, until the alarm on my phone went off at 4 a.m., almost causing me to scream. I quickly got ready for my meeting, eager to leave the hotel. I double-checked the rules to confirm I could exit the room safely. The clock showed 4:13 a.m. A sigh of relief escaped me, but then the phone rang, and as I turned, the clock switched to 4:14 a.m. I hurried out shortly after that. From outside the hotel, I glanced back at my window. The figure that resembled a zombie was gone, and there were no trees nearby that could have explained the tapping. Despite the meeting being successful, I tried to avoid returning to the hotel for as long as possible. I even called my boss to request a change of hotels, but he ranted about the high cancellation fees and reminded me that the Gateway Hotel was the most economical option in the state. I realized I couldn't afford both the cancellation fee and another hotel for the night, so I was stuck at the dreadful hotel until my flight the next day at noon. I returned to the hotel around 10 p.m. that night, not wanting to come back any later. Through the empty lobby and towards the elevator, I inquired at the front desk about the possibility of changing rooms, but was told they were fully booked. As I stepped into the elevator, I realized I hadn't seen any other guests besides the front desk staff. If the hotel was indeed fully booked, shouldn't I have seen or heard other guests by now? On my elevator ride, I saw the button for B2. Unsurprisingly, I had no desire to press it. The air was thick with tension as I walked down the quiet, dimly lit hallway to my room. I reached my door and unlocked it with my key. I walked in and paused before closing the door. My room was directly across from room 414. The door was shut, looking completely ordinary, but something about it, perhaps just the fact that it was mentioned in the rules, made me feel incredibly uneasy. As I closed my door, I could have sworn I saw a flash of red pass by. So here I am, stuck in the Gateway Hotel for another night, stuck across from the so-called nightmare room, stuck in the room where some zombie-like figure was tapping on my window, stuck with a demon painting. I read through the rules again. As long as I follow them, I should be fine, right? I made sure my curtains were tightly closed. I checked that I hadn't left any food out. I hadn't pressed the B2 button in the elevator, and I didn't answer the phone at 4:14 a.m. I just need to make it until noon tomorrow. Suddenly, something knocked on my door. It's 1:54 a.m. I'm not supposed to look through the peephole between 1 and 4 a.m., but the knocking continues. The rules didn't mention anything about knocking. I'm finally out. Spoiler alert. I survived, though not without some emotional scars. However, I'm not sure how long I'll be able to celebrate because I think I accidentally broke another rule. The consequences this time might be more severe. I'm only posting this now to warn you again. Do not book a room at the Gateway Hotel. So, back to where I left off. It was 1:54 a.m. when I last posted, and something had been pounding on my door. I knew I couldn't open it or look out of the peephole. I wasn't about to break any rules again. Rule: do not leave your room from 1 a.m. to 4 a.m. I wanted to call the front desk, but based on my prior interaction, I knew they'd just tell me to follow the rules and would be indifferent to my fears. So, I planned to stay put for the next 8 hours and 36 minutes. I just needed to make it until 10:30, when I could leave for the airport and finally get out of this place. I had given up any hope of sleeping that night, as the steady pounding on my door continued. As much as I wanted to find out who or what was knocking, I knew it wasn't a good idea to check. I turned on the bedside lamp and sat on my bed, watching the door shake on its hinges with every hit. It was a good thing I had used both the chain lock and the main lock because, well, I was staying in a nightmare hotel. I couldn't take my eyes off the door until the pounding stopped, exactly 6 minutes later, at 2 a.m. The next hour was eerily quiet. No tapping on the window, no more knocks on the door, nothing. Even though I was still right across from the most unsettling painting I'd ever seen, the woman in it hadn't moved since I hadn't tried to take her down again. I actually started to think I might get some sleep that night. But then, I heard a quiet, muffled male voice from the hallway outside my room. "Mama?" At that moment, it felt like all the blood in my body turned to ice. My eyes widened, and I slowly turned to look at the clock. 3:02 a.m. the rule. Between 3 a.m. and 4 a.m., You may hear a child's voice begging for help in the hallway. I turned back to face the door as I heard the child's crying get louder, still calling out, "Mama? Mama?" The crying grew closer and closer as the child made its way down the hallway toward my door. My trembling hands clenched into fists as the light from the hallway, shining under my door, was suddenly blocked in two spots. It felt like someone was standing right outside my door. Even so, I jumped when I heard a soft knock. "Excuse me, ma'am. Can you help me find my mama? I'm lost." Oh, hell no. Everything else that had happened in this place was terrifying, but this took the horror to a whole new level. Why does it always have to be a creepy demon child? And how on earth does it know I'm a ma'am? I stayed silent as another knock echoed from the door. The rule. It is imperative that you do not look through the peephole or leave your room. There is no one who needs assistance at that hour. "Ma'am, please open the door. I'm scared." Well, kid, I'm pretty damn scared too. I gritted my teeth and ignored the child's increasingly desperate pleas for help for the next 20 minutes. Finally, I heard a sniffle and footsteps fading past my door. My relief was short-lived because, at 3:24 a.m., a loud tap hit my window. I jumped again, but quickly calmed myself down. "Oh, it's just your friendly hotel zombie Spider-Man," I told myself as I stared at the curtains hiding the window. Surprisingly, I wasn't as scared this time. I guess I realized that as long as I didn't look at it, it would leave me alone. Trust me, the urge to see him again was non-existent. At this point, I was more frightened by the creepy lady in the painting. There were no more taps on the window after that, and everything remained calm for the next hour. I took advantage of the peace to pack up the few belongings I had taken out of my suitcase, desperate to get away from her as fast as I could. Rule: if the maid is blocking your path to your room, simply return to the lobby via the stairs and not the elevator. I jerked my hand away from the elevator button and, without looking back, pulled open the stairwell door and dragged my wheeled suitcase down 4 flights of stairs. When I reached the bottom and opened the door into the lobby, I swear I heard the stairwell door open above me. Rule: she will not attempt to follow you unless you make prolonged eye contact with her. Oh God, did I look at her for too long? Is she... I slammed the stairwell door behind me, trying not to dwell on that thought, and nearly threw my key onto the front desk. The 2 workers smiled at me, one of them saying in a slow, amused voice, "Hope you enjoyed your stay." Ha ha. Yeah, I really didn't. But I just gritted my teeth and said, "Room 414 is open. Just thought you should know." I hurried out of the lobby and into the car I had called for earlier. It arrived in just 2 minutes, and I wasted no time throwing my bag and myself into it as fast as I could. As the car pulled out of the parking lot, I noticed it was practically empty, with only 2 cars there. The front desk had told me the entire hotel was booked just last night, but the parking lot was empty, and I never saw anyone except the front desk staff. I shuddered and glanced back for one last look at the hotel. In one of the 4th-floor windows, I saw something red. I think it was waving at me as the car turned the corner and disappeared from sight. Rule: she will take that as an invitation. God, I hope I didn't look at her for too long. It was just a quick glance, right? I didn't even mean to look. How long is too long? How far would she even follow me? I hope I don't have to find out.